When my grandmother Laura passed away, I felt like my world had collapsed. She wasn't just family, she was my rock, the one who always knew how to make everything better. I had spent years by her side, through sickness and health, offering comfort when no one else did. Her death left an empty space in my heart, but I never expected it to shake my entire family. As we gathered for her funeral, grief turned into tension. The sadness was real, but something darker lingered in the air. It wasn't just mourning. There was something else beneath the surface. My family, once so close, suddenly felt like strangers. The funeral home was filled with whispers, side glances, and hushed conversations. It was as if everyone was waiting for something. Some barely looked at me while others gave me tight, forced smiles. I could feel the weight of their eyes, filled with expectations and hidden resentment. Grandma had money. Everyone knew it. But no one had ever dared to talk about it when she was alive. Now that she was gone, her will was all anyone could think about. And for reasons I didn't yet understand, I felt uneasy. Arguments started even before we left the funeral home. My Uncle Larry insisted on a grand funeral, something extravagant to honor Grandma properly. But my sister, struggling with college expenses, protested. She wouldn't have wanted that, she said firmly. Others agreed, while some scoffed, saying we owed her a big farewell. The fight escalated fast. Insults, accusations, raised voices. I tried to keep the peace, but it was useless. Grandma had always been the one to settle disputes, to remind us what truly mattered. Without her, we were coming apart, and the worst was yet to come. A week later, we gathered in the lawyer's office. The air was thick with anticipation, some hopeful, others nervous. Grandma had lived simply, but everyone believed she had saved a fortune. My Uncle James once claimed he saw a bank book when he was young, filled with endless zeros. Whether true or not, it had fueled family rumors for years. As the lawyer opened the will, silence fell. Then, the words that shattered everything. She had left everything to me. Not just a portion, not just a house or a keepsake, every penny, every asset. The room erupted. I couldn't believe it. My hands trembled as I looked around. The shock was immediate, followed by rage. My uncles, aunts, cousins, every single one of them, stared at me as if I had stolen from them. "This has to be a mistake," someone shouted. "She would never do this." The lawyer calmly explained that Grandma had made her decision with full awareness. But it didn't matter. No one believed it. They looked at me, their own flesh and blood with pure hatred. My mother sat frozen, disappointment on her face. Even my sister wouldn't meet my eyes. I felt sick. The shouting got worse. They accused me of manipulating Grandma, tricking her while she was weak. "You were always around her, weren't you? Making sure she left it all to you?" Uncle Larry's voice was sharp with anger. I tried to defend myself, but no one cared. They had already decided I was guilty. The inheritance had turned me into an enemy overnight. The family I loved was tearing itself apart right in front of me, and I could do nothing to stop it. My only crime was being there for Grandma when no one else was. I couldn't take it anymore. Tears blurred my vision as I ran out of the office, past their angry voices and judgmental stares. I got into my car and drove aimlessly, my heart pounding. I ended up in a fast food parking lot, staring blankly at my steering wheel. How had things gone so wrong? I had lost Grandma, and now my family too. My phone buzzed with messages, all filled with anger. I knew I couldn't go home. My family would be waiting. I was trapped, torn between grief and betrayal, lost in a nightmare that wouldn't end. I thought things couldn't get worse. I was wrong. The next morning, I was woken by loud knocks at my motel door. Police officers stood outside, serious and impatient. My heart sank as they told me why they were there. My own family had reported me for theft, claiming I had manipulated Grandma into changing her will. I was stunned. They weren't just angry. They wanted to ruin me. The officers handcuffed me, treating me like a criminal. I tried to explain, but it didn't matter. I was just another case to them. My own family had turned me in. Sitting in the back of the police car, I felt numb. I had done nothing wrong, But that didn't seem to matter. My lawyer arrived just in time, presenting the legal documents proving the will was legitimate. After a long, humiliating process, the police finally released me. But the damage was done. My family had crossed a line I could never forgive. They didn't just hate me for inheriting Grandma's money. They wanted to destroy me. And that's when I made my decision. I wasn't going to let them take anything from me ever again. For weeks, I stayed away, ignoring their messages, their fake apologies. They thought I'd break, that I'd give them what they wanted just to make peace. But they were wrong. I had been willing to share, to find a way to keep the family together. But they had shown their true colors. I contacted my lawyer and ensured that every penny remained locked away from them. No more guilt. No more trying to fix what was already broken. Grandma had left me this inheritance for a reason, and I would honor her wishes. Then came the final betrayal. My uncles, desperate and furious, tried to contest the will. They wanted to drag me into court to claim that I had manipulated Grandma. But they underestimated me. My lawyer shut them down instantly. The will was airtight, and the court saw right through their lies. Not only did they lose, but they also faced charges for filing a false police report. Seeing them finally face consequences should have made me happy. Instead, I just felt empty. The family I once knew was gone, and there was no going back. I packed my bags, determined to leave. There was nothing left for me here. My mother, my sister, they had chosen silence when I needed them most. That silence was louder than any accusation. I had spent too long trying to hold on to a family that had already let me go. So I walked away. No dramatic goodbyes, no explanations. Just a quiet departure from a life that had become unbearable. A new city, a new beginning. This was my chance to start over. Without their hate, without their greed, without them. Starting over wasn't easy. The pain still lingered, but for the first time, I felt free. I bought a small home, invested wisely, and focused on building a life that was mine alone. No more fighting, no more betrayals. I still missed Grandma every day, but I knew she would have been proud. She had seen something in me, something worth believing in. And now, I was finally starting to see it too. I wasn't just surviving, I was healing. For the first time in a long while, I could breathe. The weight of my past was finally lifting. Even though I had moved on, my family hadn't. They kept trying to contact me, sending messages filled with guilt-tripping and fake apologies. At first, I considered responding, but then I remembered everything they had done. Their betrayal, their cruelty. It wasn't something I could forget. They didn't miss me. They missed the money. And I refused to let them back into my life just because they wanted a share of what wasn't theirs. So I blocked every number, changed my email, and made sure they had no way to reach me. I wasn't running away. I was choosing peace. One evening, I sat down and wrote a letter to my mother. I poured out everything I had held back, the pain, the anger, the disappointment. I told her how much it hurt that she never defended me, how she let them treat me like a criminal. But most of all, I told her that I forgave her, not for her sake, but for mine. I didn't want to carry that pain anymore. When I finished writing, I folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. I never sent it. Some things don't need a response. Some things are better left unsaid. Years have passed, and I rarely think about them anymore. My life is quiet, peaceful, everything I had once dreamed of. I have new friends, new goals, and a future that no longer feels tied to the past. Grandma's inheritance wasn't just money. It was a gift of freedom, a second chance to live on my terms. Looking back, I know I made the right choice. Family isn't just about blood. It's about love, respect, and loyalty, things my relatives never understood. And as I stand in my new home, watching the sunset, I find